Says he had a bad day, you take it one down, you sing a sad song just to turn it around. You say you don't know, you tell me don't lie, you work at a smile and you go for a ride. You had a bad day, the camera don't lie, you're coming back down and you really don't mind. You had a bad day, you had a bad day.
What's up, guys? That was my song for Sunday. Had a bad day. Dominated you guys all season long and couldn't get it done in the playoffs. I got lucky, had the bye. My team kind of played my team did pretty decent this week. I scored like 135 points pretty much, but it wasn't enough as I got defeated by the defending champ in a not a close game, 168 to 135. I will note that 168 is the most points Dakota has scored all season. So, hey, it's how fantasy goes. You win some, you lose some. But best be known, I will be back next year. All right, so let's look at the matchup here. I'll start with my team. Matt Ryan, solid day, 25 points. I think he was the number one quarterback scoring this past week. Chubb, 10 points. 100 yards rushing is great. No catches. And just couldn't get in the end zone. Chris Carson, nice day out of Carson, 24 points. Devonta Adams, 18 points, just couldn't get in the end zone. Adam Thielen, worst game all season, 3 points. I believe this is the only game all season that he did not score in double digits, so obviously that's a little bit surprising. Edelman with 13 points, just no touchdown. That's a big theme on my team. Ebron, 1.3, second worst game of the season, 1 catch. He also dropped him and Edelman. I watched both those games. Fucking both of them dropped a pass. Gurley did his best to, make my score respectable. 29 points. Ravens defense, 8. I actually expected more out of the Ravens defense against Winston, but they couldn't really produce the turnovers. I was hoping for. And my kicker, Kansas City kicker, 4 points. Worst outing all season. It's how it goes. Obviously, I had Mike Williams on the bench who had 33. If I played Mike Williams over anybody, it would have not have been any of the 3 receivers I played. It would have been Carson. So I would have gotten about 9 extra points, so it wouldn't have made a difference. Nobody else on my bench did anything. Melvin Gordon, 0. Spencer Ware, 0. I was playing Gurley, I was playing Chubb, and then Carson was kind of the odd man out. He had one of his better games of the season. I believe that was his highest scoring game of the season. So, nothing I could have done to win. So, it is what it is because I wasn't benching Thielen for Mike Williams. You better believe that. Looking over here at Dakota's team, Cousins with 15, McCaffrey 22, Dalvin Cook with 29. His best fucking game of the season. Hopkins with 34. His best fucking game of the season. It's kind of a theme with some of the guys on this team. Tyreek Hill, was held in check with 6. Julio had 17. Gronk with 3. Jalen Samuels. I was really hoping Connor would play. Obviously, Samuels had the biggest game of the season with 18. Redskins defense. He made this change on fucking Sunday. They got 16. Smart play by him. Saints kicker with 7. We all know he had Damian Williams on the bench with 27. So, he could have got a few more points here or there, but wouldn't have been too crazy. Made the right play at the defenses. Made the right play at the running backs. He did the best he could. Got his highest score of the season. As the game was going on, I'm realizing I'm getting my ass whooped. I was like, how the fuck did Dakota get all these good players? So I go back and look at his trades. And I'm like, did I fuck up somewhere? Did I approve a trade that shouldn't have been approved? And I look at his trades. I'm like, shit. He had 3 trades, and they were all pretty solid fucking trades. Nothing. I would approve them all over again. The one that may have been the most questionable was him getting Gronk. But as Gronk had 3 points, he's been struggling all season. But all his other trades are pretty solid. He gave up some decent guys, and obviously got some decent guys in return. So nothing I can say about it. So congrats to Dakota. He may be able to defend the belt and be a back-to-back champion. Since I've taken over, Ray's dad was back-to-back champion my first 2 years, and it looks like Dakota may be able to do the same. The next matchup was an obliteration. Chad scored 136 and took out Garrett, who only put up 68. We look at the matchup here. Chad had Andrew Luck, who didn't have that great of a game, 10. Elliott, who had 14. Derrick Henry, 30. So obviously you guys know Derrick Henry sucked all season. Past 2 weeks, he has been killing it. Like, I don't fucking get it. Like, I don't know if somebody fucking paid him to suck so then they could pick him up off waivers for free and then he could be on all these championship teams. I mean, it's fucking crazy. 30 points. I mean, it's ridiculous, especially after his game last week. Michael Thomas only had 8. Stephon Diggs was 14. Ridley had 7. Kittle had 7. Gus Edwards had 16. The kicker really got it for him. Houston kicker, Fairbairn, or whatever his name is, 22 points. I mean, that's big points out of your kicker. I mean, he had Coleman on the bench who had 21. Robert Foster on the bench with 19. I mean, he had some decent players, on the bench as well. If we look at Garrett's team here, Garrett played Big Ben, who only had 13. Obviously, I think I expected him to have more. Him and Trubisky are kind of on the same level. I would say, given the over-under of, I know what the Pittsburgh Patriots game was in at least the mid-50s, I'm sure. Obviously you probably lean that way a little bit. David Johnson did decent for him, got him 18. Frank Gore with 1. I mean, I don't really understand playing Frank Gore. Obviously, I know he's getting some work in Miami, and obviously I know he got hurt in that game. That's partially to do with his low score, but Minnesota run defense is normally pretty stout. Obviously, you couldn't play Kerryon Johnson. You had on the bench. You had Jalen Richard. I mean, I might have thrown Jalen Richard out there. He had 8 points, would have got him a little bit more, but obviously Jalen Richard had a much easier matchup with the Bengals. Played Landry, 5 points. After his past 2 weeks, you kind of didn't have a choice but to play him, especially with Chris Harris being out for the Broncos. But obviously disappointing like usual. Westbrook had 11, and most of that was off the punt return touchdown. Curtis Samuel with 3. I mean, obviously you expect a little bit better there from him. Kelsey just couldn't find the end zone. He only had 10. John Ross with 1. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, nothing out of his kicker. I mean, this might have been the worst scoring day for Garrett on the whole season, I'm sure. Nothing on his bench, really. I mean, Trubisky had 19, so he would have got a few more points there, but nothing he could have done, I mean, to do anything about that matchup there. Let's look here. I don't really want to spend too much time talking about the matchups that don't really matter. Looks like Josh pulled out a victory over Orlando, and obviously they got to play again this week, so they're battling for the 5th place, which doesn't really mean anything. But looks like he pulled that victory out by about 4 points. Saints defense really did it for him in Zerline last night. That's what it looks like there. I mean, all the matchups in the losers bracket were, nothing crazy. Nobody put up over 100 points. Phillip won big, about a little over 20 over Steven. Dalton was able to edge out by 9 over Joseph, and Brian doubled Derek's score pretty much. So right now, the way the constellation is looking, Steven is 1-1, Dalton is 1-1, Joseph is 1-1, Derek is 0-2, Brian is 1-1, and Phillip is 0-3. And Phillip is 2-0. Sorry. If Phillip wins this week, he will lock up the number 1 pick, going 3-0 in the constellation bracket. And obviously, second is really up in the air, depending on how everything else pans out. Obviously, there's going to probably be some ties. The way I do the ties is you got the same record. I'm just going to base it off of, possibly if you guys played each other, but most likely it'll just be based off points scored for, because that'll be the easiest way for me to differentiate it. It looks like Phillip plays Dalton this week. Brian plays Steven, and Derek plays Joseph. So that looks the way the constellation goes. Me and Garrett will be battling it out for third place. I fully expect to beat the living shit out of his team, which would be nice to get that revenge of the one loss on my schedule from the regular season, and also mean I won't have to send him $20 or give it to him since he's 5 minutes from my house. I spoke with Chad today via text because that's the only way I get me and him talk. He was curious how the prize money worked out if he got anything, if he got second. So I informed him if he gets second, he gets 60. If he gets 140, if he gets first, he gets 140, and he'll receive the belt. So we'll discuss that. When that time comes, we'll figure out if we need to do anything there. But best of luck to Dakota. Best of luck to Chad. I'll be honest, I'm hoping for Chad to win. I just want to see somebody different win. And I'm a little butthurt probably because I lost to Dakota. But it is what it is. But best of luck to the two of you guys. Right now, the line is 0.8. So the projected score expects this shit to be really close. Obviously, I know some lineups may change and everything with waivers processing tomorrow. So best of luck to everybody, and one more week. Enjoy the holidays, guys.